Heidi ho, everyone, and happy hump day to you. Gee whiz, I hope you're having a good day. I'm having a good day. Not a lot happening on the trading world, I've got to say, apart from the fact that a few things are going in the right direction. But all in all, I think we've got a fairly stable or, let's say, compacted market. There's probably a reason for that. And it's generally because there's a news event coming up. And I would think that potentially we're looking at Jackson Hole. And the reason I laugh is that honestly, Jackson Hole was something, and I'm not going to go into the depths of depravity, but Jackson Hole was something really that not too many people at the end of the day would have been paying too much attention to if it weren't for the current situation in which we find ourselves, which of course is under the influence of something called COVID-19. And it seems that everything that points towards a decision or an utterance from a government body or a financial institution or whatever the case may be at the moment tends to put us on tenterhooks. And I've got to tell you that I'm not. I really just, here's another one at the end of the day. And really, I think news events at the moment are tantamount to secondary events, because we are in such an incredible situation, and we found ourselves in, or that we find ourselves in. And of course, we've got something called a presidential election coming up in the United States that will have a magnificent or a magnanimous, effect on what the markets do. Probably starting, round about now, and it'll start to ramp up as we speak, and we'll have Trumpy going out and doing his stuff, and he'll be trying to rein everything back. Well, he's doing his stuff now, He's got his whole family speaking for him. And the interesting part, and I don't want to dwell on this in any way, shape or form, and when Ash joins us, which I'm sure he will very shortly, he'll be more across it than am I. But to me, we are pretty much 4 years down the track and in a very similar position that we were at the same time 4 years ago, in terms of Trump was behind, had no chance of winning the election, and everyone was writing him off, and there was no such thing as a Trump presidency. Well, yeah, here we are again, guys. Here we are again, 4 years down the track. And he's already saying things like, the only way I can lose is if it's rigged and all the rest of it. He's not going to give this up easily. There's no question about that. And whatever it takes is whatever he will do. However much money he has to spend, it doesn't matter. He just wants to get back in there. Anyway, as I said, that's, it needs to be talked about, because, most of, at least today, most of what we do around trade. Hello, you need a haircut, buddy. You're on holidays.
Hey, how you doing? Sorry, I'm just turning you up. Hey, how are we doing? You all right?
You look like Jonathan Thurston.
I'm just at my friend's place.
Are you?
Yeah,
looks like you had a rough night, buddy.
Well, we did a bit.
There you go. See, you can't fool me.
I'm in the middle of a farm. It's amazing here.
Oh, so am I, mate. I live in the middle of a farm.
Oh, beautiful. Hold on a minute.
That's my life, remember. I have a farm.
Yes.
So what sort of farm is it?
Oh, mate, I'll let me see if this works. Let me see if this works. I will see. Can you still see me?
Yeah, sadly.
You can? Okay, hold on. All right, let's see if we can do this.
Oh, we're doing a tour. My goodness. I feel like I'm on, what's that called? Oh, there's a real farm. Got outbuildings and everything.
Proper farm. There's the farm.
Escape to the country with Ash.
Look at the view.
Nice, eh? Where are the animals?
They're kind of everywhere, really.
What sort of animals and what sort of farm?
We got horses, and we got ducks. We got some chickens. There's some sheep. the horses they're not in their stables at the minute, but they're meant to be around there. They're all out and about at the minute, but it's a bigger plot than I can properly show you now, and I'm sure everybody's going to be quite bored of seeing it. So
nice. So you're there for what, a week or so?
I am here for the week, but yeah, my buddy's given me his office just to kind of work in, which I'm not doing too much. You know, it's kind of light stuff. I wanted to make sure that I was in the show with you guys, just to make sure I wasn't reneging on my duties.
AWOL. You could have just sent me a message, mate. Said I won't be there. I'm hungover and I'm going horse riding.
I don't like to leave you in the lurch, mate.
You're a good man. Look, I've got to be frank. There's not a whole.
I do feel like
just for a change. There's not a whole lot going on from my point of view. Have you actually got any charts in front of you, or you just?
I do.
Tell us about the horses charts. And the sheep and the ducks and the.
Yeah, no, I do, whatever. Mate. I do, and I tell you, I mean, I've. Let me see.
So, have you been trading since you've been there? Or are you just hanging loose?
Oh, do you know what? I took a trade just before I left. I closed it. Kind of wish I hadn't now, but yeah, I closed it just before I left. But I am incredibly interested in a Bitcoin and Cardano as well. So I am potentially.
You know, Shukri's in the room. Don't you? Be very careful what you say here.
Well, yeah. Well, maybe we can chat more about this in the US show, but. Just to get Shukri's opinion on it, but I quite like trades in those, and they may well be triggered today. So I probably will be doing something. Just had some decent economic numbers from the US, so that would suggest that we're unlikely to go too far lower. I see the FTSE's been struggling quite a lot, but I think some of those other indices still look quite interesting to me.
Yeah, well, you're the man who gets interested in industries. I'm not, so I wish you well with that. The US dollar's starting to have a little bit of a gain. That's interesting. I'm seeing a little bit of movement there. I don't know that we're going to reach any great pinnacle, but as I said, I've still got that 95 handle in my mind, and hopefully that might be the case. And there, I think we're going to find some pretty decent trades. If that's going to be the case, we're going to hammer that US dollar to oblivion, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right, mate. I think that the US dollar is interesting, and seeing these data points as well, I think it becomes even more interesting all the time. I've got to be a little bit careful actually, because I'm really interested in Cardano, and I've got to do a little bit more research on it. And as I say, it'd be good to get kind of Shukri's opinion on this. It does look like it's broken through a level which is a little bit concerning, but yeah, I mean, actually for Bitcoin, I'm quite interested in the selling opportunity, but it does appear that with those numbers the way they are from the US, that if the US dollar was to strengthen, maybe it could just cap a bit of the movements that we are seeing in the equities. The equities have continued to push to the upside, but maybe it could cap some of the enthusiasm in the equities just a little bit. Not seeing too much in the way of. I've got shares as well that I'd like to discuss in the later show as well. I think there's an opportunity to start getting back into certain areas with the stock market. So,
guys, is everything okay?
Everything's fine, mate.
Fine from my point of view, yeah.
Mate, look, I'm sorry. I was just out on YouTube and Online Trading Profits Facebook, and it took a while for anything to fill up. And all I've really seen since then is a mop and a walk around a farm. No charts, you guys. Everything is okay.
Yeah, everything's fine. We're just building into building up the presence of what we're looking at to trade.
I just want to suggest that's a beautiful background, Ash.
Well, I mean, I'm in the country, mate.
Don't walk me around the farm again. I've seen the farm looks lovely.
Yeah, farm's good. Yeah, I'm just, I'm borrowing a space, so beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah, mate, all good. As long as everything's under command. I just logged in case you guys were having some problems. I think reasonably soon we're going to start in New Zealand, celebrities have their heads shaved for cancer. A little bit of sponsorship. I think we'll be asking for some sponsorships, see if we can get your head shaved for cancer, mate. Mate, I'll leave you guys to it. Take care.
Funny, the first thing I said to him, I said, "You need a haircut."
I do with the sheep shearers around here, so maybe we can look at that. But let me get my chart set up. I don't know if you want to share something first. I've got
mate, I can do that, and I will do that whilst you get sorted. All good. So what I've been looking at pretty much from the outset of the week is, actually, while I'm here, let's talk about Euro Pound. Oh my God, Euro Pound. Will it ever move from this range? I don't really care if it doesn't, because we're able to trade ranges, but the fact that we're in this short and have been for, wow, how long? The longest time anyway. And it just keeps doing nothing. But here's another crack. Maybe we get TP2 this time. We've got TP1, but I'm not sure that there's any confidence that I can get through this level that we've attempted to get through many, many times. And you can see, of course, it's been resistance over here as well. But I have moved, just for the interest of those who are in this trade and have been long suffering as I have moved my TP2, or I've actually created a TP2 at 89.47. So I just thought I'd pass that information on to you. And if we're ever lucky or fortunate enough or able enough to get to that TP2 level, I'll go, yay, yeehaw, because being at risk, and I know we're not at big risk, we've taken TP1 on this. It's only a very, very small risk that we're at. But being at risk for so long is very, very foreign to me. It's very, very unusual. So anyway, that's the way it is. That's Euro Pound. A couple of other things that have gone okay. CAD Swiss, well, last time I looked, it was going okay. We've been in that one for a long while as well. Was that our entry? That was our entry, yeah. That was when, on the 19th of August, it's now the 26th, so it's only a week since we've been in that. But you can see the beautiful range that this is in. That's, you know, that's the kind of stuff that we like. And I did counsel folk this morning that if they were keen enough and able enough to trade this, then there was probably a nice higher low coming here. But I wanted to see it on the daily pivot, I've got to be honest with you. And that hasn't happened. Well, certainly not to this point, but the further this goes, obviously, the more I like it. The pound trades that we're still in, and I'll give you an interesting point of view on that very shortly as we get into the US session. I'll be looking for a little bit of a change. Pound Kiwi is, yeah, still in that holding zone. As I said, many are at the moment. The market is very, very quiet from a currency point of view. Yesterday, big move on the yen, against the yen, I might say. And that's about it, really. There's been nothing else. So you haven't missed too much from a currency point of view, mate. Pound Aussie, exactly the same scenario.
It's the pound that's interesting me the most. I mean, I'm sort of like seeing that pound strengthen against the euro, which I didn't know that was the case. I've been looking at the prices of things rather than the charts while I've been here so far. Just kind of having a cursory look at my phone, but I'm interested to see, the pound, as you say, it's really frustrating, especially that pound euro. It's a very frustrating chart and a very frustrating bit of price action going on there. But I am seeing, and it really brings us back to some of the stocks that I'm quite interested in later on that we'll discuss. But really interested in looking at the potential pound strength and maybe how that might relate to some of the FTSE 350. Some of the domestic plays that we could possibly make from here. But
well, I think it's like everything else at the moment against the dollar. If we're talking pound US dollar, it doesn't know what to do, and it's primarily, and I don't think it's a pound story. I don't think it's a euro story. I don't think it's an Aussie story. I don't think it's the Kiwi story. I think it's the dollar story. And the world is coming to terms and asking questions because I guess primarily the press are doing the same. And promoting such talks, and stuff we were talking about 10 years ago, or at least 7 or 8 years ago. How long can the greenback be the reserve currency of the planet? Well, that's starting to raise its head again, and whether it's valid or otherwise is insignificant, really. But it does tend to put the market in a question mark, and I think that's pretty much where we are at the moment. The dollar is so far out of favor that people are now going, well, hang on a minute, is this the end of the dollar? Or surely the dollar's got to rally at some time soon. And I think that's probably the issue that we've got at the moment. I don't think the market has got any firm direction when it comes to the US dollar.
Yeah, I agree, mate. And actually,
well, apart from down.
It certainly looks like the dollar's strengthening at this particular moment. And there's, you know, I'll quickly pinch the screen just because I'm looking at this.
Sure.
What have I got here? I think it is that one there. This euro dollar is what I'm looking at now. I'm having to run this on a small secondary screen, so I hope you guys can see what I've got here. But this is what I'm seeing with the euro dollar. It looks like to me that the euro dollar, it could be forming a head and shoulders pattern, and that could take a little while longer. But the most significant aspect is that this is a buy zone until it breaks through. Now, we would want some probably worse numbers from the United States to consider this a buying opportunity right now. But a hold here after getting those numbers will probably leave us back into kind of Jerome Powell territory. And that's the thing, isn't it? If we're going to be taking opportunities, it would be very surprising to see the dollar just, you know, burst to the upside in its current environment and with currently what's going on when we've got such a big event tomorrow. And I think we probably are waiting for tomorrow. So the euro dollar,
is it such a big event, mate? That, you know, that's the thing with me. Jackson holes come and go and have been there for, you know, eons. And I don't know. I don't see historically that Jackson hole makes a whole massive difference. Maybe this time's different.
Oh, mate, I wasn't actually thinking of Jackson Powell. I was actually thinking of the Jerome Powell speech.
I knew that.
So I wonder whether that might be a significant, whether it becomes significant, I don't know. But I wonder whether things are likely to move before it because it could be deemed or perceived to be important. So it would be surprising, I think, at this stage to see the euro dollar break down. I think if anything was to happen here with the euro dollar, if it does start to break down, I'll see if I can bring, actually, I haven't got a pen here, but I can still kind of draw on the chart here. If this was to come down like really, really low down there and then start to break back to the upside and gave us, okay, all right.
Hello, darling.
Yeah, it's not actually. We've got a room full of people. Let me just clear the space in, mate. I'll be with you in 1 second.
Okay. Actually, while you're doing that, Simon, you've just brought me to an absolute point. And I failed to notice that because I've been in so many different scenarios at the moment. Aussie Kiwi is still valid, absolutely still valid. And now that you mention it, there's an order there, and I'm going to share that with you right now.
There we go. Yeah, go on. You go, mate, and we'll come back.
Okay. Mate, rough night last night. You can hear him.
Oh, mate, I'll tell you what. Yeah, it wasn't meant to be, but yeah, you know how these
just
things.
The way I do. I certainly do. All right, so we're looking at this false break of this trend line or trade line, really. Or it might be a trend line as well. I won't go that far back. The interesting part here is this, and thanks for asking the question, Simon, because I had completely lost it in the wash. The issue I've now got is the size of the bar. And guys, I'm looking to play this long, mind you, and I am still going to trade it. 25 pips. Okay, let's place that order. We're going to buy, but we won't go in at full risk here because we've got a little bit of resistance ahead of us, right? In terms of this trend line and this horizontal level. So we'll just go in at, say, 0.25%, 0.5% maximum, I would have thought. And the entry level is going to be, let me see, I'll go there, 109.89. 109.89 is going to be the entry level. And the stop loss is going to be 109.63. So I've got about 26 pips of risk there. 109.63. There we go. So we'll just place that order. And our TP1, which is a little bit skinny, I've got to say, I like it to be at least 1/3 of the risk. So that would mean I'd want it to be about 8 or 9 pips if that's 26. Yeah, it's bang on it, isn't it? Bang on it. So we'll just need to watch that very, very carefully. And I do expect that we'll get an acceleration to there if we get through this level, of course. And at that point, we need to be very, very aware that we will get a spike here, in my humble opinion, unless, of course, we've got some party that wants to actually drag this or drive this up to here in one fell swoop. I don't see that happening. So I think we will get a little bit of a spike here, and maybe come back to this line. So I want to take profit pretty much at that level if we do get taken into this trade. Inside a range, so we've got a range, inside a range, inside a range. Amazing. And that's what I've been kind of trumpeting all day. We are range bound, guys. So don't expect that I'll be trading through the tops of these ranges or the bottom of these ranges. Certainly be taking profit at those resistance levels. All right, mate, there you go. That was it. Thanks again, Simon, for asking the question. It had completely gone out of my mind.
Sorry, mate. Just navigating around a slightly different platform to take a little while longer. Maybe I'll leave the camera off. Yeah, just back to this euro scenario. So I wonder whether we could, maybe take advantage of something that looks like it's breaking down, without actually breaking down. So it looks like it's holding this area right now. It looks like a potential horizontal level right across here. But if this was to start breaking to the downside, maybe at that point, if we get a bar which then starts to close back inside the level here, then there could be something of interest just for a little bit of movement to the upside. And that's because, as I said earlier, I would be surprised to see this one break down before a Jerome Powell speak, before that there's, you could be right. Maybe it isn't going to be significant, but I still think it could be perceived to be significant before he speaks. And that would keep this really on hold. The trend line may not be there. It's possible that it's even lower, but it could be down there. So maybe that's where we get the what would look like a break and retest from the other line. But a bounce off this area, I think, could be of interest. And then maybe a move back up again would give us a right shoulder, and then we could start to see maybe some distribution of the euro dollar to move to the downside. Because across the board, it looks like the dollar's strengthening, doesn't it? Because we're seeing where's my gold chart? Gold is back down to $1,900 an ounce, which I think is pretty significant considering where we were and what we were looking at. And same with silver. These are both commodities that I would be really interested in seeing if I could pick it up. And the more it comes down, the closer it gets to a potential price point of interest as well. But I wouldn't want to play this one to the downside, really. I think it still could be a bit dangerous to try and trade this one to the downside. But gold would and silver would both weaken along with dollar strength. The sweet spot, looking at this particular time frame on this chart, looks to me around about 24.75 with silver. So 24.75 would be of huge interest. And if there was some just a little bit of confluence with dates, that would leave us around about, it looks like around about the 11th of September. So there's a few days really for this to travel before we get to the confluence zone between the trend line and the horizontal level. But that, I do think that would be a sweet spot and a price of interest regardless of the trend line. But if it does kind of like come into this time zone as well, it becomes even more interesting. And maybe it breaks down a bit first. Maybe it breaks down and then just manages to kind of ease its way back above this this horizontal level, and then we can start looking for some upside with that one.
Mate, question.
Yeah.
The massive waterfall that stopped at your wide horizontal level there, 120, oh sorry, 24.76, let's say,
Yeah.
has produced 11 days of inside bars.
Yes.
How do you deal with that?
Well, I think you ignore it. I think you ignore it. I mean, I think you know, we were talking.
It's not there, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that what is it really telling you at this this particular stage? And what it's telling me is that there's still a huge amount of there's a huge lack of conviction, really, especially with silver. You know, there's a big lack of conviction one way and the other. So until we get a proper drift down to a price point, then it's really of no interest. And all of those bars just be, you know, what will they be in, you know, by the time we get to, you know, potentially September 11th, what will they be then? And they'll just be ancient history. You know, just like looking back at this point, kind of what the bar formation is at this point has started to look like ancient history. That's a bad example, really, because actually, you know, this point here is a horizontal level of support. So, you know, maybe this area here, you know, it starts to become ancient history. It's not really of any interest. I'm much more interested in the extremes. You know, where did it get to, and where could it go to? Do we get a clean pattern down here which suggests it's turning around? And if it does, all this noise, I would just completely ignore it on the way back up again. At this stage, it just looks like noise, you know, and if a chart is this noisy, then it's just not tradable. So
to me, the market has just SH1T itself and gone, oh dear, what next?
Yeah,
we better wait for someone to make a move.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I agree, because if you are concerned about an inflation play, then you probably want to be in things like gold and silver. But if you are a little bit skeptical, firstly about that potentially happening, or maybe about the fact that the dollar's so weak and it can remain weak, then you start thinking, well, gold and silver are starting to look a little bit overcooked at this particular stage. So I could see, you know, why there would be conflict. You know, we're certainly not in the big expansive run of enthusiasm that we have been with the likes of gold and silver. So because the enthusiasm's really come out of the market, then it's certainly not an intraday tradable environment. And I think that we do need some clarity by going to our longer term timeframes and seeing if they can just give us that that opportunity. This is a weekly chart, and again, that's starting to look pretty parabolic anyway. Even on a weekly chart, the price action move, and this would be the monthly, which could be really interesting. If we're looking for that. If we're looking for that August time period, that September time period, how often in the market do we see a bar that does this, flies all the way to the upside, flies down, giving people a potential sell signal, and then the very next bar looking like a sell signal, but then just, you know, reversing that whole move and then ending up back up again? And that could happen, you know, by the end of September. Silver may well have touched a lower band, but then come right back up again to start looking like it's going to be, back in a continuation pattern rather than breaking down. So it'd be brilliant to see this. It'd be really good to see on the month over month basis, August look a lot weaker than it even is now. I mean, it looks a little bit under pressure, but it's not really fully confirmed, I don't think, until we break the high of July. We break that high of July, then it might start making this bar look a lot weaker, and then during the month of September we can see if it does break down for a period and then start to come back up again. Because I'm still bullish on the commodities, and I think we really should have them in as part of. If we don't like it as a play, we should have them as part of a portfolio.
Yeah, okay. Wrap me across the knuckles, because I'm out of everything like that at the moment, and everything's in the ground and it's growing at the moment. So that's the way I'm looking at it. Okay, so there's plenty to look at in the upcoming show, which is now. We've got to start now. So those of you on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter, thanks for joining us. We will be back tomorrow, of course, at the very same time, and we look forward to your company then. Those of you who are subscribers, of course, we'll be back with you in a matter of